Welcome back in. It's time for Bears Latest. It is Thursday, May the 8th. I'm Brandon, and here's what's going on with your Chicago Bears. Jaylen Johnson, our number one corner, and who's primed to have a productive season, went ahead and set some lofty goals for himself going into 2025. He was on the Speak podcast with Joy Taylor, Keyshawn Johnson, Paul Pierce, and was talking about the goals that he was setting for himself. And as you already know, Dennis Allen is planning on letting Jaylen Johnson shadow each team's best wide receiver, each team's number one. He is going to be able to finally show off his athleticism and show that he can put a player on an island and basically be a game changer there on that side of the ball. So here's the lowdown. His goals for this coming season are 7 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and out of those 10 turnovers, he expects that 3 of them will be returned for touchdowns. He will not allow more than 50 yards receiving for any wide receiver that he's covering this season in a game. And he won't allow a touchdown to be scored upon him. Again, those seem like very lofty goals, but I like it. I like the fact that he is putting himself at a high standard and he's motivating himself and pushing himself to be his very best. And there's a very good chance that he's going to be able to hit these marks. If Dennis Allen is able to put together a good front seven to apply that pressure and to get quarterbacks to make mistakes, to throw those unexpected interceptions or to cough up the ball, scoop and score, pick six, you name it. I would love to see him just bust out the old peanut punch and get a couple off the ground there, like our beloved Charles Peanut Tillman used to do when he was playing for our Bears. So I like it. I like that he wants to put himself up there in that upper echelon of cornerbacks, especially cornerbacks that have been with the Chicago Bears career-wise. And we've had some pretty good ones. So I'm excited for it, but you better be ready to go. And when things get tough, you got to keep a good attitude, keep your head on straight, and you're going to have to keep grinding. It's great to have those goals, but if you miss it, you can't just fold it in and say I'm done. You got to be ready to kick yourself in the ass and be ready to go the next week. So I think he can do it. I think with a revamped defense, and especially one that is going to be blitzing, as we expect from a Dennis Allen defense, I think it's very possible. So you go, JJ. Now we change gears from the offensive side of the ball or from the defensive side of the ball over to the offense. I was already thinking ahead a little bit here because this has blown my mind. Since we've drafted Colston Loveland, it seems like all these beat writers and all these fans and network or executives and things like that are trying to put pieces together to say that now Cole Kmet isn't a fit to be on this team now that we've drafted Colston Loveland. And it blows my mind. It takes me right back to when we traded Greg Olsen because Mike Martz was an effing moron and didn't know how to use him. And they sent him packing. And that was horrible because I really liked watching Olsen play for the Bears. He was great, especially I had so much fun watching Desmond Clark, during the Super Bowl run and everything, and to see them go out and get a pick like Greg Olsen from the U. I was really sad the day they traded him. So the thought of Cole Kmet, who has grown up a Bears fan, is, Notre Dame alum, and the guy has done so much for the Bears. He's dealt with a lot of losing, but at the same time, he's also played his tail off. And so the thought of us actually trading him just does not make sense. And the two teams that are being floated around the most are the Patriots and the Chargers. And Why? I mean, I can understand why they would want Kmet to go to the Chargers. Their tight end situation was, okay. Will Dissly was pretty good last year. But then you look at the Patriots and, Hunter Henry. I mean, it's a dearth of tight ends, and not one sticks out to me. So I could see how they would want to get Drake May, a guy, and even get Herbert, a guy there, if you're going back to talking about the Chargers. It doesn't make sense. I don't think you're going to get the value that you want. Yeah, it frees up cap space, but then you've just weakened your position, and you're going to be running 12 personnel throughout the season. Why would you want to do that? The Bears would be absolutely silly, ridiculous, stupid to let Cole Kmet go. Unless you're getting back a crazy boatload of picks, this shouldn't even be in anybody's mind. So, Cole, you're staying a Bear. It's because I said so. Don't want you going anywhere, buddy. All right. So, going with the post-draft buzz and everything, unfortunately, the Bears weren't able to hit a mark in the second or third round to find a running back. We obviously weren't able to get Ashton Genty. We weren't going to give up the capital to get him. So we had two picks high in the first portion of the second round. And all signs were pointing to us walking away with a running back. And when things played out the way they did, and then we had the trade down, which then netted us additional draft capital and Ozzie Trapillo. Bears fans and beat writers and everybody under the sun were going, what? The Bears have a glaring need at running back, and you don't take a running back. Well, the rumor is that the Bears were trying to move up in that draft. There's folks that are talking after the fact and saying that they were trying to get up to what they thought was about pick 35, which would have been a couple of picks ahead of where Cravion Henderson ended up being selected by the Patriots. So it sounds like the Bears tried to make an attempt to move up there, which that checks out. But as we all know, it takes two teams to tango. So if you don't have that other trade partner that is willing to part with that pick, or the Bears aren't going to give up the kind of capital that that they want to give up just to move up those few spots, then I can see why they would pass, because I don't want to be giving up future capital, especially if it's future capital that's on the higher side. I wouldn't want to do that. And we did come away with Kyle Monangai, and I think he's going to be a good player. I think DeAndre Swift is going to produce better this season because he'll be in a better offensive system. He knows Ben Johnson. There's familiarity there. So I think that's going to go better. And then potentially there could be another free agent addition, and then Roschon Johnson. And there you go. And then we can always look to draft a running back in the following year. You can't do it all in one season. The Bears have been hitting home runs. Yes, I'm using a baseball reference. Have been hitting home runs this entire offseason with how they've revamped their offense and their defense, their entire team, the coaching staff. One position does not mean that this is an absolute failure. And they still found ways to address it. And they're going to find ways to continue to improve, as we've already been hearing rumblings there. But it would have been really cool to see Travion Henderson as a Chicago Bear, because not only is he a hell of a runner, he's a hell of a pass protector as well. One of the best pass protecting running backs out there in college football, and will now be the beginning of his NFL career. So what could have been? I know. At least they tried. That makes me feel better about our organization, and they weren't going to go make a pick they weren't comfortable with. So I applaud them there. Last but not least today, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming release of the 2025 schedule. It's next Wednesday, the 14th. And I believe they're going to be announcing that on NFL Network, which also means you're going to be getting lots of insiders that are going to leak this information. You're going to be out on Reddit, Twitter, Discord, you name it. You're going to be probably getting things throughout the day, like what happens every single year. And we'll probably see the Bears put out some really cool video like they did Ferris Bueller's Day Off last year, that spoof with DJ Moore playing Ferris Bueller. So I totally see that happening, along those lines. But that's going to be out in a week. And I just took it upon myself to go, you know what? I want to put together some way too early predictions on what I think the Bears' record would be. Now, obviously, we have to go through training camp. There's got to be preseason games. There's going to have to be evaluation. This is me purely just taking it and looking at it on paper. I feel like this is how I do my baseball and my football drafts as well. I feel like I'm just all about looks good on paper. This is what I see based on how the offseason has gone, who we've got in there that's running things, and the personnel that we're most likely going to be working with. Which, by the way, stay tuned tomorrow because you're going to get my preview. Well, not a preview. You're going to actually get my official pre-camp 53-man roster, where we stand right now, who I think is going to make it there. And not only that, we're going to talk practice squad as well. Because as you know, players get elevated up and moved back down on the practice squad. So you're going to see some of those potential squad members there. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do home and I'm going to do away. And I'm even going to kind of predict what games I think might be primetime, which right now I've got 6 potential primetime games. Some of these, they may flex into a primetime game, or depending on how the Bears start the season off and how they're looking, they might even be flexed out of it and into a regular noon game or 4 o'clock game. So we have 8 games at home this year. Most of the teams that we are playing are coming from obviously the NFC North because we play our division foes twice a year, the AFC North, and the NFC East, with a few other teams sprinkled in there. So we're starting with the home slate, the Lions, which I think we're going to be playing the Lions early on in the season. And I think the Bears are going to be learning how to win and to get over that hump with Detroit. I think it's going to end up being a loss for us. We also have the Packers at home. Screw Green Bay. FGB all day. We're getting a win right there. We beat them to start 2025, and we're sure as heck going to continue to do it. So win right there. Vikings at home. I'm skeptical on J.J. McCarthy. I think he'll eventually be a good quarterback. And yes, we know that Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer guru. He did wonders with Sam Darnold. I think the Bears are much more improved on defense. And while I do believe the Vikings are much improved up front on the D-line, especially signing Jonathan Allen in the offseason, and the tackle from out in San Francisco, I think the O-line is going to be much more improved. We got physical, aggressive dudes up there. So I could see a lot of trench warfare and the Bears line really stepping up in what'll be a really hard-fought game. Cowboys, it's the Matt Eberflus revenge game. You bet we're beating them, making Flus look like a fool. We're going to take advantage of him. The Giants, even though they are much improved, they are an improved team. However, I think we're still going to walk out with a dub. Browns, I love Joe Flacco. I loved being on the Joe Flacco train a couple years ago when he came over to Cleveland and didn't have hardly any time to learn that playbook, was basically learning on the job. And Stefanski, basically tailored everything to his needs. And what's cool is my brother-in-law, shout out Greg, actually was was sharing with me the other weekend about how Flacco came in and he talked about what he can do really well and what he can't do as well. Of course, the things he can still do very well, he listed a mile long, but that's a pro right there. I respect that. That guy says, "Here's my strengths, my weaknesses. Let's figure this out and let's roll." And that's why he did so well. I do believe with him being a quarterback that stays in the pocket, I think with the improved line and with the secondary play, I I can see a lot of pressure. I can see mistakes because Flacco is known to throw interceptions. But I can also see him getting beat up. So they may need to rely on the run game a little bit more, and that's going to be a statement game where the Bears defense, run defense, can really step up because you've got good backs right there in Cleveland. Even though they won't have sounds like Nick Chubb back, regardless, it's going to be a tough matchup there. But we're going to get the dub. Steelers. Y'all just traded George Pickens. Now you're DK Metcalf. I'm sorry, it's basically the same player except DK is really bulked up and George Pickens just runs his mouth but is very athletic. Yeah, I'm stunned by that. They were putting together a really good offense and they shipped him off, and we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there or not. He may still be signing. I kind of hope he does because I'd like to kick his ass because he's Aaron Rodgers. But whatever. Steelers, we're going to beat them. W. Saints, W. I think Dennis Allen is going to really lay it on thick with his former team. And I think they get exposed and I think they get whipped. So as of right now, I've got a 7-1 record at home with a primetime game coming with the Packers. I think just looking at some of these other games, the only other games that could possibly be a primetime game there would be with the Lions, but I think the Lions and Bears are going to play. They're going to play at Thanksgiving, so I don't think that's happening. The Vikings, I could see that, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like if they did do prime time, it would be in Minnesota. So you know what? Let's go ahead and let's just jump right in. Let's talk about the away portion of the schedule. So again, we're playing the Lions. I do believe we're going to be on Thanksgiving, and we're going to get the job done this year. After what happened last year, that embarrassing run off of the clock right at the end and poor mismanagement there by Flus, which costed him his job. We should have won that game. We should have been eating turkey legs for days. But I got news for you. They're going to come through in clutch, and they're going to finish the game off and win, and it's going to give Ben Johnson an opportunity to come back to Detroit and get the job done. Packers, W. Vikings, W. By the way, the Packers and Vikings, I both have those listed as primetime games. I could see both of those being Sunday night. I could see the Vikings game even being a Monday night game. We got the Eagles. Till you can beat the champs, loss. I think they're going to be a little too much. But I think this will also be a great opportunity for the Bears to learn how to lose to the best, but to lose in a way where you're playing your best and you're going to get over that hump. Sorry that probably sounded confusing, but in order to get to that next level, you're going to have to take your lumps right there. And I think this will be a tough loss. I don't want to call it a blowout, but it could potentially be something where we're going to lick our wounds. Commanders. This is the opportunity for the Bears to get revenge on the Fail Mary that happened last year. It also gives Ben Johnson an opportunity for revenge for the Lions losing to the Commanders in the playoffs. So, Commanders, y'all are getting a loss. We're getting that win. You bet your bippy. Ravens, unfortunately, a loss. I think they're another really tough AFC opponent. You got Lamar Jackson. They continue to replace and improve and just continue to put together a great product. So I think we're going to get the L there. Bengals. I like the Bengals, but I don't like them enough to say we're going to lose to them. So we're going to get a win on that one. Niners. The Niners, I think, are going to be much different than last season. I think you got a lot of headaches out of the room. I think that having Brock Purdy back is going to benefit them. You've got Robert Saleh back running the defense, and I think that defense is going to be back to what it used to be consistently. So I'm going to go ahead and call a loss for us on that one. And Raiders, we're going to win that one. You better believe it. This schedule is a lot harder, tougher than last year. So I think we're going to have to really show up and show out. But right now, I'm very much bullish on the Bears. I'm going 12-4. 12-4 to start with. What do you guys think? Send me your predictions below. Leave a post. Let me know what you think. If you already can predict what some of the primetime games are, leave a comment below. And as always, guys, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, like all of our videos, and feel free to ask questions, leave comments below, and just know that we appreciate your continued support. And with that, I'm Brandon, and don't forget to bear down. We'll see you next time.